This short course focuses on server processes that make up the automation engine. You should have some understanding of the role of processes and how they're managed in AWI and at the system level. This course is going to focus on their handling and administration. This video is a general presentation of basic principles. You'll be in a position to explain important aspects of the automation engine. You'll also be able to describe those processes, their types, and roles. You should be able to use the dedicated AWI page called Processes and Utilization. You will know how to control these processes: start, stop, monitor, and troubleshoots. Administrators need complete control over a set of server processes. Without this expertise, managing the Automic Automation environment becomes a major challenge. AE processes operate at the core of an instance. There are work processes that handle calculation, execution, automation, and reporting of tasks. Communication processes handle communications required for many aspects of the solution, synchronize operations between processes, agents, web interface logins, and more. Keep in mind that server processes are in constant communication with the database via an existing ODBC connection. This is also true for JWP and JCP over the JDBC connection. AE deployments rely on multiple instances of each process type. This provides a number of benefits like load balancing and fault tolerance. You generally have more than one CP, and multiple WPs are required to assume responsibility for various work-related tasks with different roles. Finally, AE processes are configured in the ucsrv.ini file, and logs and traces are found in the temp directory. Let's start with the Processes and Utilization page in AWI in the administration perspective. This is where the bulk of process management is done. Let's look at some of the columns. Name shows the process name, where we find either communication processes, or CPs, and work processes, or WPs. These are the two main groups. The type column shows different process types, which are the process subgroups. There are other columns showing the engine version, the process's resident host, and the service manager link allowing interactive control over the process. Under status, we find icons showing the process type and whether it's active or not. Let's explain the number of connections associated with each process, both in AWI and Service Manager, because they convey different information. In AWI, the Connections field shows the number of direct connections to external features only. It shows the connections that are established between this particular process and features like AWI or the agents. By contrast, the Service Manager shows all connections. That includes both the external features like AWI, but also those within AE. This is because processes are in constant communication with each other. Service Manager shows those as well. Let's consider the controls we have over processes. There are three methods of starting and stopping them, and they work together. The first is the Processes and Utilization page. Every process has a context menu which does a number of things, like renewing the Service Manager link. This link is vital because the start controls in AWI rely on Service Manager to execute the start commands which are available on the page. Predictably, we also have the same control in the Service Manager, and this is the recommended method to control individual processes, as well as shutting down the entire system. The Service Manager invokes system commands associated with each process. That happens to be the third method, the command line interface. We show these in our technical analysis module. Finally, we look at some of the monitoring capabilities. The first is executions, which show the current status of a process, as well as the history of starts and stops. This is useful in establishing whether they were clean or ungraceful stops, and if a particular situation needs to be remediated. The last report option produces the log generated when process activity last occurred.